President Donald Trump announcing he's going to run again, making that official yesterday from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Want to know what you think the chances are he's actually going to secure the GOP nomination? I mean, it's still, a year and a half out before we actually do the whole nominating process. Seems pretty ridiculous, quite frankly, that we just got done with an election and we're already talking about the next one. Seems more and more with increasing frequency that that is the case, that we are indeed talking about the next election shortly after the most recent election wraps up. We don't even have the votes certified yet from the midterm, which is incredible. But that's another conversation for another day. Let's get into it, and I want to hear from you what you think the chances are of the former president becoming the GOP nominee for the 2024 cycle. You can chime in, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY. So President Trump making the announcement yesterday and saying a couple of different things. He, of course, talked about the campaign and how in 2020, losing to President Joe Biden. Before then, though, he laid out all of his accomplishments with the very low unemployment rate for everybody across the board, from Black Americans to Asian Americans and beyond. He talked about the trade deals he secured with other countries. He talked about how there wasn't a international conflict during his tenure. He talked about how he dealt with Republicans and Democrats, and he laid out, I think, what he said was ultimately going to be his path forward, and announcing that indeed he is running for president of the United States. Again, here is President Donald Trump from last night addressing a crowd at Mar-a-Lago.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
So some applause there, but I don't think nearly the round of applause that he got compared to when he said that Nancy Pelosi appears to be on her way out after Republicans secured the U.S. House.
We have taken over Congress. Nancy Pelosi has been fired. Isn't that right?
So, again, just some of what the president had to say. But let's hear from you at 217-629-7970. What are the chances Trump's going to get the GOP nomination? Good morning.
Good morning. Unfortunately, I think it's a pretty good chance. However, both Trump and Biden need to run for president again just as much as they need a hole in the head. I mean, I don't think that neither of them need to be running again, to be quite honest with you, because if Biden runs again, it's just going to be another crapshoot, to be honest.
Biden turns, I think, 80? November 20th in 4 days, I think is his birthday. That would make him 82 if he was to run again, as he claims he has the intention to do. Trump's not far behind. I think Trump's only like 2 years younger than Biden or so. But, I mean, these are senior citizens. These are elderly men.
Yeah, and of course, you have the party, the left, who is the diverse party, and then the right, who basically wants to be the party of like opportunity, kind of. And yet, who do we put in office? Old white guys. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense for either party to nominate these guys.
So we'll see what happens. I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Your odds on former President Trump getting the GOP nomination for the run for 2024 to go to the White House, 217-629-7970. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
Hey.
I don't think Trump is going to get the GOP nomination. I think if he ends up running, he's going to run as independent eventually, because I just think there's so much swirling around him. You have all the losses that his endorsed candidates took in the midterms last week. You've got all the criminal stuff swirling around him. I just don't think – I think a lot of Republican voters are ready to move on. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but I think a lot of Republican voters are ready to move on to a fresh face like a DeSantis or something. At least somebody a little younger.
Yeah, and DeSantis has this keen ability to have somewhat of that boisterous nature that Trump has in not taking, slanted questions from the media or pointing out slanted questions from a liberal biased media, to then also being a statesman and being able to rise to the level of crises and address crises. It'll be interesting. DeSantis hasn't really indicated if he's going to run yet, but that's what the primary is all about. When you have a heavy field, as what happened in 2016, we'll see ultimately who rises to the surface there, and that's going to be up to the Republican voters. Yeah.
I think that I think what a lot of Republican voters are eventually going to come down to is, I think we want the policies of Trump. There were a lot of good things he did without all the chaos. At least I hope that's the case.
Without all the chaos and all the bluster. But some of that bluster is what people are attracted to. Some of that bluster of, calling news fake news or the nicknames he has, like Jerry Nadler. What does he call Jerry Nadler? I can't remember, but it's surely funny. Sleepy Joe Biden. What did he call Rosie O'Donnell? All right, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Your thoughts on the odds for Trump getting the GOP nomination?
I don't think that he's going to end up getting through the primary. I don't think there's any way in the world he's going to get through the primary. But the sad thing is he's going to be as divisive as possible during the entire instance. And I don't really think it's to avoid criminal prosecution, because I think he's smart enough to know that that's not going to slow anybody down. They're just going to move over and get a special counsel and take it out of the federal prosecutor's hands. But I do think that in some respects that it's going to force Biden to run or not. And I think that's probably the worst situation, is that if Trump takes on Biden again, this is going to look worse than the time Abraham Lincoln ran and the country was divided.
Well, you harken back to Abraham Lincoln, but this whole situation actually harkens back to Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland was New York governor and former mayor of Buffalo. He was first elected president in 1884. He lost in 1888, but then won again in 1892. There have been other presidents that have attempted similar fates, but nobody else other than Grover Cleveland has been able to achieve that. Will President Donald Trump be the one to do that the second time in U.S. history? I don't know. The guy was impeached twice, which is also record-breaking. He wasn't ultimately convicted, but regardless. We'll take a few more calls here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, I think Trump running again is going to be disastrous for the Republican Party, because I don't think the GOP as a whole has figured out why the younger people didn't vote for them. And I think it's basically a pocket.
Well, I think they figured it out, and that's why you're seeing a push to get rid of what Republicans call CRT, critical race theory, in colleges and in schools, and you're seeing a push for parents' rights to maintain control of schools and what the curriculum is. I think Republicans have an inkling as to what's causing younger people, not in droves, but some younger people to side with liberals.
Well, either way, I think it's a pocketbook thing and a birth control thing. And honestly, I think people are just tired of not having opportunities.
There's plenty of opportunities in the United States. I mean, we're chock full of opportunities. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that people need to vote better in the primaries, because I think the two candidates we got are the most divisive candidates we've ever had in my lifetime.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the primary process. Appreciate the call. One last one here. Your thoughts and the odds of former President Donald Trump maintaining the GOP nomination. You think he's going to get it? Good morning.
Good morning. I think they're pretty good. But I think the best thing about him running is now the people on the left and then the media, they're going to have to come to the realization that Donald Trump did not pee on a bed in Russia that he thought the Obamas slept in. I can't wait till everyone realizes that wasn't true.
Well, I would imagine you'll probably hear that ad nauseum anyways. I appreciate the calls, everybody. We'll talk more about this in the future, no question about it. It's right here with Springfield's Morning News. You can follow along with me. Just search everywhere for Bishop On Air, and we can connect that way. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY.